Hey everybody, welcome to the Kit Cave. I hope everybody's doing absolutely excellent. Back with you again, another progress update for the AMT ERTL 1/1400th scale USS Enterprise D. So yeah, picking up where I left off last time. It's been quite a while since my my last post, my last update. It's been around about a month or so, just a little over a month. Excuse me. Yeah, what have I been working on? Well, where I left off last time, I mentioned something. Rather than carrying on with the build here, I'd reached the point where I had to, or I didn't have to stop, but I wanted to stop with the actual physical build itself of the kit here, because I wanted to work on the electronics to get all of the coding done and finished, and figure out, what were the other core elements I was going to introduce into this build with regards to the Arduino board going in and all the bits and pieces. And that was more so for me so that I could understand going forwards what the lighting setups were then going to be in the other different sections here, and having a clear view in my head essentially as to how the rest of it was going to go and all be installed. So that is pretty much what I've been working on for the whatever time I've had for the last month or so. I haven't filmed any of it. It's really no point. It's literally just been me sat in front of sat in front of my computer doing lots of coding. And I'll come to that in just a little minute. I'm just going to do a quick rant for everybody, so I do apologise. I just need to get this out of the way. Where I left off last time, I mentioned that I ordered a new board. I ordered a new Arduino board because I decided to upgrade to the Arduino Mega, and so that was what was ordered. It did arrive. Sorry, bear with me while I just grab it off camera. Here it is. Here's the little Arduino board. Okay, it's a clone board, but hey ho, most of them are these days. Little small Arduino board here. This is a version. I'm just making out there of the Arduino Mega. I mean, compared to the Uno here, you can see size difference. Now this is because this is a small form factor board. This one, it's a lot smaller, but it's essentially an Arduino, an Arduino Mega, just in a smaller compact form. Great, that arrived. So I plugged it in, give it a test, obviously, because it's a Chinese knockoff board. Give it a test into the computer, and it didn't bloody work. Didn't work. Get what you pay for, I suppose. Didn't work. So I was pulling my hair out a little bit, trying to figure out why it wasn't working. Was it a case of, I had to have the right drivers installed onto the computer, or was it a case of, I had to do the bootloader, put the bootloader onto it, which I did. And I tried all manner of different things. Didn't work. Didn't work. So, yeah. So very, very frustrated with that one. So I ended up going on eBay, buying another board. This time buying a version of an Arduino Mega board in this setup, this configuration as we see here, which did arrive. Now, why didn't this one work? Well, this is the bit that I'm going to rant over. As we can see, how you connect this one is via a USB, micro USB cable right here. Oh, as it bloody turns out, this is the thing. This was the cable I was using. Yeah, okay, there we go. Micro USB cable. There you go. I just plugged it in. The board did power on. There was power going to it, but every time I was trying to upload a basic, a blink sketch to get the onboard LED blinking to test that it would, work fine, it wasn't working. It wasn't uploading the code. And that was the issues that I was having. I spent weirdly enough, I spent about 3 hours trying to figure out the problem to it, until eventually put it down to a defective board. No, turns out, unbeknownst to me, that these micro B cables, they come in two varieties. They either come in just a charge cable, which it turns out this one is just a charge cable, and they also come, here's another one, identical. This is a charge cable and it supports data transferring. Why? Why are we having two cables which are the same, micro USB, and one is only a charge cable and one supports charging and data transferring? It's like, for Christ's sake, tech companies. Really? Really? Just supply one. Just supply the one cable that does the whole thing. Bloody hell. Anyway, sorry everybody, that was the rant. Turns out it was literally just a cable. Because I sat down, after a few hours of being quite frustrated with it, and thought surely it can't be the cable. It cannot be the cable. That's the problem. Yeah, it turns out it was, because I was using the wrong cable. So I scrounged up that black one, plugged it into this. Lo and behold, worked absolutely fine. Uploaded the program, the little blink sketch happened, no problems. This is working absolutely perfectly. All for the sake of a sodding cable. But there we go. But what that meant was, prior to me figuring out that it was the cable, I'd already gone online and bought another Arduino board, which is not a bad thing. Now I've got two. With this one, this will be the board that gets installed into the kit here, not in the model. As I've often said, I don't like putting my circuit boards into the models. This will go into the base, a little small thing just here. What it means though, with the other Arduino board that arrived, the Arduino Mega, it means I can keep it mocked up here on the bench for all my prototyping, which is great. And I have the Uno as well as a backup. So there we go. So yeah, so what have I been doing? Coding, lots of coding, lots and lots of coding over the last 4 weeks, writing Arduino programs, putting them into the board, testing them, debugging them for when I've encountered issues and they didn't work and function correctly. And that's all I've been doing over and over and over and over again. Before I did it, quick little sketch here I had to put together. I had to sit down. The very first thing I did, and I had to kind of draw this very, very childish picture of the USS Enterprise. And essentially what this was for me to get the information out of my head onto a bit of paper, to map it out, so that when I started the coding process, I had a clear idea of what was going where. More so about going back to the navigation and running lights, having all of these individually addressed and rigged up, so that I could code the different lighting configurations, something that I explained on the last video. Again, going back to that, I know that, you know, technically having 4 different modes, well, it was actually 3 back then, it's now 4, and I'll explain what the 4th one is. It's not technically screen accurate, but again, technically it is, because what I've picked up with watching episodes of, you know, The Next Generation, which I often do on an evening when I get home from work and I'm, you know, looking, you know, sorting out the wife and cooking dinner. I've got The Next Gen on Sky playing. There's no, from episode to episode, from series to series, there's no consistency in the configuration of these lights, how they flash, which ones stay on or illuminated, which ones are flashing. It changes wildly, and I'm assuming that's because of, over the years, you know, with the difference of the filming miniatures. I believe it was the 6-foot filming miniature that they started in series 1 and 2, then that changed to a 4-foot filming miniature, and then it changed again, and then it was digital miniatures, and there was never any consistency within the pattern of the lights, the navigation and the strobe lights. But I thought, what the hell, I'm just gonna, from what I've seen on the TV and on the films, I'm just going to incorporate all of them. Why not? And I did pick up that there was a 4th configuration, which was, as I saw an episode, I can't remember the episode name, but it shows the Enterprise, and it's showing it from the top view, and it's flying into or on the approach to a starbase, onto the space dock. And as it's cruising in or flying into the space dock, there was another configuration that I spotted. So there's now 4, and that is whereby, you know, up on the saucer edge here, the navigation or running lights, whatever you want to call them, they're illuminated. Okay, static illuminated. The bridge lights flashing. These lights here, now I've given these lights at the back here, I had to give them a name, because it made sense to me to give them a name, so that it helped me to understand what I was referring to while coding the program. And I've called these pendant lights, got saucer pendant lights and the neck pendant lights. In that episode, these lights are all on. This one's flashing. These are not on. They're not illuminated. I assume that what I call the belly light, which is underneath the star drive here, is flashing, because often it flashes when we see it's flashing in the same manner or in the same sequence timing as the bridge light. The fantail lights here, the red and green, they were on. The lights at the end of the warp nacelles were not on or flashing, but the light above the aft torpedo launcher was flashing in sequence with the bridge light. So a 4th configuration. that I picked up there. All the rest of what we're seeing here, this is just me writing stuff down, you know, the pin numbers and what's doing what and flashing and, you know, buttons and all that kind of stuff. And that helped me to refer back to this sheet when I was coding. So what have I done then? What have I added? What have I added in? Bear with me. I'm just going to pick up the camera and pan around just quickly. Or actually, I'll just pan it from here. It's hard to make out. I will move this camera as best I can, but what we can see here in the background, an absolute mess of wires here. Actually, I will pick the camera up. Let me just pan this around. What I've had to do, of course, is go back to the mock-up and remock everything back up, connected to the second Arduino board, the Arduino Mega board, just here. All of the capacitive touch sensor switches have all been wired up, so these can be installed eventually into the base when I sort that out. Over here we've got, you know, we've got MOSFETs and things going on. There's some LEDs here. There's a big array, a big bank of LEDs all coming along this strip, but it's hard to make out with all the wiring going in. But what all these lights are representing here, these are all representing, if I turn this around, they are representing all these lights up here. So where we have these four at the front here, the red, the green and two whites, that's to represent these lights, representing the red running lights here, above the white lights above 10 forward, the green starboard lights and the bridge light, and what these four are representing. And this is kind of how it runs in fashion. These lights are representing the pendant lights here. Two lights, two LEDs here, that's the belly light down here. That's the light above the aft torpedo. And then we've got the red and the green and the two whites, red and green, to indicate the red and the green here on the fantail and the nacelle lights. So yeah, what more have I added to it? Well, I've added a lot more actually. Was it easy going? Not really. Some of it was easy coding, because I coded bits at a time, created new sketches, as they're known, coded little bits together. So I've got lots of different programs all doing different things. Where did I run into the issue? Where I ran into the issue was in two things. First of all, trying to get the program written for having the different configuration of the flashing lights. That presented a problem. That took me a good few days to write the program, test it, find what wasn't working, why it wasn't working, figure that out, rewrite it, test it again, and then something else, another issue would flash up, and then it kept going like that. So I went through about 3 or 4, possibly 5 or 6 iterations of that same program until I got it running and working correctly. The biggest headache that I had was with the phaser, with the phaser strips. Now, of course, originally I've had the phaser strip program. It was running and working absolutely fine for the top saucer section here. So perfect, great. But in my weird wisdom, I decided to make hard work for myself and decided I wanted to have a second phaser strip incorporated into the bottom half of the saucer. And so trying to code that to work was a pain in the ass. I'm not going to lie. Apologies for my cursing there. It was a nightmare. It took me at least a good almost a week and a half, if not 2 weeks, just trying to get it to work. Now, we've got to remember, everybody, I'm no expert with this. Working on this build, this is the first time that I've ever dealt with using an Arduino. It's the first time I've ever dabbled in writing code and reading code and debugging code, and so it's been a massive learning curve. A useful learning curve, don't get me wrong, but a massive one. But yeah, it gave me trouble. No matter what I tried, I just could not get the code and the program to work to have 2 separate neopixel or neopixel strips, as they're known, functioning correctly. No matter what I tried, it just wouldn't work. It just wouldn't work. It got to the point where I'd almost given up with it. I'd almost given up. And I just thought, right, I'm just going to have to bite the bullet with this. I can't get it to run. I'm just going to have to, for the sake of it, for my own sanity, just leave it as the top phaser strip firing and not do the bottom. The only other way to have done it was kept the same program for the top, rigged up the wiring to have the bottom strip connected with the top strip, so that when you press the button, the phaser would fire and it would run fine. So it would fire both of them, but they would both be firing this at the same time and running the same pattern, which is a bit naff, and I really didn't want that. So yeah, I pretty much had given up with it. I just couldn't get it to work. Couldn't get it to work. But when I come across issues like this, I'm that type of modeler whereby I'm like a dog with a bone sometimes. If I want something to be in a build, if I want to do something, I would do absolutely anything I can to make it work. And it plays on my mind. I'm one of those people where I'm just constantly thinking about a solution to the problem. And it got to the point where one day last week, it was about 2:30 in the morning. I'd woken up in the morning. No idea why I woke up. I just woke up. I was wide awake, and the first thought on my head was, how the hell am I going to get this second phaser strip to work? And I'd been thinking about it and thinking about, bearing in mind, you know, a week and a half of frustration and trying to get it to work and having no luck. And I thought, well, actually, maybe I want to go down and try this. Maybe I should try writing the code in this way. And that's exactly what I did. And so at 3 o'clock that same morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, I was sat in here working on the code. An hour later, I actually got it to work, finally. So yeah, much to my elation, it worked. It worked. It wasn't perfect. It needed a bit of debugging, but the core of it was working. That was fantastic. Great. So I went back to bed for a couple of hours, and then after that went to work. Anyway, stop waffling on. Let's have a look. Let's have a showcase at what I've now got in here. Now, please bear with me, everybody. The sound quality might drop a little bit because I'm about to turn my desktop on. I believe, you know, when I got my desktop running, the microphone here tends to pick up a bit of interference from the computer, but it's the only way that at the moment I can get the Arduino board powered and still have separate connectors to show you everything. So yeah, apologies if the sound quality drops a little bit. So what I've got coming in then, going into the board now, I changed the intro music. The intro music is now, when you turn the board on, which we'll hear in a moment, it now plays the intro theme to the TV series of Star Trek The Next Generation. So I've changed that. I've also included in a hum, a background hum, and that's basically a bridge hum. So when we see it in the TV program, we've got the bridge hum in the background and all the beeps of the computers going on. That's now included. So that's based on when this board is sat in what I call the idle mode. So no program is running, you're not pressing any buttons. It's just continuously playing that background hum with the computer beeps in the background. So that's been added into it. Of course, I've now got the phaser strips, 2 phaser strips to include, one already in the top, one to go in the bottom, which now function, 2 separate buttons for that. Torpedoes were there originally, they're still there. What I've had a warp flash code, which was there originally, actually simulate a white flash of the ship as it goes to warp. What I've now included as the extras, over here we've got a little bit of mock-up of a blue LED strip here. This is now for the warp nacelle and will be the buzzer collectors as well connected to it, where they power up, they fade up in brightness, they power up with the sound effect. Also what's included, same thing with the deflectors, with the deflector dish and the impulse engines. There's 2 little LEDs over here, a blue and a red one. Do the same thing. You press a button, they power up, they fade up in brightness and play a powering up sound to simulate that one. And then of course with the flashing lights, the running lights, a button that changes the configuration with associated sound effects has been coded into this as well. One last feature I have added in, it's quite a little quirky thing. I mentioned in previous videos I was toying with the idea of adding in another button to this where you could press it and it cycles through and plays random sound effects, random sound files. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to do it. And that's exactly what I did. And it's actually quite good. If I don't mind blowing my own trumpet, it's quite good. Press a button and it cycles through, you know, different sounds. I've got some voice quotes. There's a few more voice quotes from different characters I want to add into it as well. But yeah, that's the main core of the program running. Anyway, enough waffling from me. Get on with it, Steve. Let's showcase it. So here we go. Here we go. Let's plug it in. Here we go. Hopefully this is picking up on the microphone. So there's the intro music playing. When you switch it on, these lights come on. Of course, these are representing the navigation and running lights. This is the first configuration, the configuration that I have termed or labeled the cruise configuration.
The final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. It's continuing.
I'm not too sure how well this is coming out. The sound is coming out on the video through the microphone. It might not sound that good. Trust me, it does sound a lot better in person. There we go. I'm just going to stop that music. There you go. So that intro music does play for the full duration. I think it's about a minute and 30 seconds or something like that. It's the full intro that we see on the TV episodes. You may be able to hear this, may not. Let me just move the microphone closer to the speaker. This is the background hum and the beeping, chirping noises. So that just runs, hopefully that picked it up. That just continuously runs on a continuous loop. When the board is just sat here at idle, you have that nice low hum and the beeping noises. Yep, here's all your navigation and running lights here in the cruise configuration first of all. Okay, let's do the phasers firing. Is it plugged into the power there? Yes, it is. Of course. There's the top phaser. The other thing which I added into the code is when you press the button, once it's done the cycle to whatever effect it's done, it then automatically goes back to start playing that background hum and chirpy beep, you know, the bridge noise, as it's known. There we go. There's the top one. Now for the second phaser strip, which is now functioning perfectly after much pulling out of my hair to try and get that to work. Of course, we have the torpedoes, whichever button that was, bear with. No, wrong button. That's the sound effect for the warp flash. No. Come on, get the right button, Steve. Ah, there you go. Okay, this one's white, but it's okay. It doesn't matter that it's white. This is pretty much just, you know, it's just mocked up on the board to test everything. But there's the torpedoes functioning. So lighting configurations then. So here we go. As we can see, this is the cruise configuration. Then we go to the what I call the battle configuration, as seen in the episode of Picard when it's flying through the board ship. And they are just pretty much all illuminated as it showed it in the episode. Then we change again to the which one was this? This was what I call the space dock, the space dock mode, where we have the belly light and the light above the rear torpedo launcher flashing as well, in sync with the bridge light there. And then the escort mode, which again from my last video, what I mentioned, as I termed it, the escort mode as we see in Picard when it's flying alongside the Enterprise G. And that's that one. It cycles through into that mode and then press the button back to the cruise configuration. There we go. Let me just pop the camera back in the holder a second, because I do need to change some of the wiring here so that we can see what's going on with some of the flashies. I'm just going to disconnect the power here from the phaser strip. This is the thing now, it's I need to now plug in direct 9-volt supply for these other bits. Make sure I don't connect anything else that's going to cause something to blow up. If I connect that on there, hopefully this can be picked up on camera. I'll do the best I can. There's my power in for that one. So this is now going to be the warp flash, whichever one that was. I think it was that one. Yes, it is. Oof. There's a quick flash. That hopefully will look better. I'm not going to install this strip, obviously this is just a mocked up stretch. It'll hopefully look a little bit better once it's installed into the kit itself. Sorry, I'm having to be careful here. Moving all this around. Get that one on. That one's already lit up. I'm not quite sure why, but it shouldn't be. There we go. It's hard to pick it out on camera. It's a little bit washed out there, but that's the... A bit better. That does the fading up in brightness with the sound effect for the warp nacelles. I'll connect this one. Same thing down here with these two little LEDs up here. These are representing the deflected dish and impulse engines. If I press that one. Nope. There we go. So I don't know if you made that out. There's a little bit of a fade up. It fades up for about 5 seconds in brightness. Again, it's hard to make it out on camera. They often, LEDs look very washed out on camera. And I'm not sure if it's picking up the sound effect there, but it is playing the power up sound effect I've got rigged up to it. So that's that bit. Last one then. This is kind of becoming my little favorite one, this last one. This is the random sound. Sorry everybody for the shoddy camera work today. This is the random sound player. Here we go. No, that was the wrong button again. Which button is it then? There we are. So what I'm doing is I'm just holding the microphone next to the speaker so you can hear it a little bit better. And I'll cycle through some of the sounds to demonstrate. It's just randomly gonna cycle through the sounds that are preloaded onto the SD card.
Please do not address this unit in that manner. Auto-destruct sequence armed.
Computer, status report.
Auto-destruct sequence armed. Evacuate bridge. Deck 1 life support failure in 30 seconds. Priority 1 message from Starfleet coming in on secured channel. Please do not address this unit in that manner.
You are an insulting, pompous fool. And if you were not an ambassador, I would disembowel you right here.
That's probably my favourite one out of the lot, actually, to be fair. Oh, God. I could just sit here pressing that.
Please do not address this unit in that manner.
I could sit here pressing that button all day long. That's a good feature. I like that. As I said, with that random sound player, there's a few more fonts, a few more sound fonts I want to add to it. There's a few more quotes I want to get from some of the main player characters from the series and get them onto there. And I have been looking at some of them. I just need to get around to downloading them, converting them to WAV and get them on the board. But yeah, there we go, everybody. Bit of a show and tell. Again, apologies for the shoddy camera work. Let me unplug and stop all this at the moment. I'll turn it all off. But there we go. That's what I've been working on, is the coding to have all of those actions and all of those effects working, and that is pretty much it. It's done. The code now is fully done and completed for this kit. It's ready to all go in. I'm glad I got it done. You know, it's been a bit of a trial and error month. It's been frustrating. There's been elation. There's been tears. I've pulled all my hair out. I used to have a full head of hair. Now I'm completely bald. It's one of those things. But again, I've persevered with it, and that's the main thing. And this really is, you know, for anybody that's out there who's learning Arduino for the first time, like I am, or somebody's thinking about doing it, it is a massive minefield. I'm not going to lie. It's not easy in some cases. Sometimes it is easy. Sometimes it's quite complex. Don't give up is the advice. Keep going, keep persevering. You'll get there in the end, like I have. I mean, the final bit I did today was take all those individual programs that I'd written and combine them all into the one program. And I literally did that today, this afternoon, and got it all working. And I tell the elation that I had, the feeling of euphoria when I had it all in and I tested it and it was all working exactly as I imagined it in my head. Is just amazing. So yeah, keep going. So what does that mean for the rest of the build then going forwards? And now I can actually come back to the kit itself and make some progress and get things get things moving, get things done. So of course it means there's a little bit of hardware change I need to do here to the lighting that I've already got rigged up in the top half. A little bit of changing of some of the wiring, nothing major this guys, bit of change of some of the wiring. A couple of resistors on some of the LEDs just need to be changed out because they're going to be having a different power supply rigged into them. So these are minor things. Of course, what it means going forward, I can now make a start on working on the bottom saucer section now and getting things sorted out. So that's going to be a case of sanding off all of the lifeboat hatches, getting all that off like I did with the top, get all that taken off. I can install the resin piece up here at the top, get the captain's yacht in here, of course, get these out, install the clear strips, the clear phaser strip going around here, and so I can then mount this strip into the bottom to have that happen. But then of course going back to more window drilling on the saucer edge here, these need to be puttied up and filled over, and then I need to go through all across the edge and do exactly what I did on the top. I can move that down on the top bit here and get in all of these rim windows and replicate them all on the bottom section. And again, that should be quite simplistic. Now I know the process and the technique I've got sussed for this. I can just replicate it on the bottom edge here and get all those in. You can see one I experimented with quite a while ago, actually. I experimented with it and one's already drilled through. That may have to get filled up and moved, but again, it's drilled through, and that one I've drilled all the way through to allow the light. You can just about make it out there. It allows the light to pass through it, so that's going to happen on the bottom there. So there we go. I can crack on. I can crack on with this bottom bit and start getting all of the gump done to the plastic bit on the top here. Get the photo etch set for the transport emitters into place. Get it all light blocks sprayed up. Get all the LEDs in. Get it all wired up. Now that I've got everything mapped out over onto my my rig set up over here, now I have an absolute clear picture of what's going in, how it's going in, what's going to be connected where to do what. Crack on, get it done. And there we are, everybody. Sorry, I just completely forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, there we are. There we are, everybody. Oh, I thought I'd turn that computer off. Obviously, I haven't. Sorry for the long video. Sorry for the waffling on, as I often do. I'm sorry for the shoddy camera work. And again, apologies if the sound quality's been quite poor while I've had the computer on and here in the background to power the Arduino. Just wanted to give you that show and tell, just you know, to show you what I've been up to over the last month or so. Something I thought of the other night, just very quickly before I wrap up this video for everybody. I don't know. I'm toying with the idea. Now I've got all the different individual programs written. They're all individual programs, and then, like I said today, I can bind it all into one program. That's given me the flexibility now for future builds coming up, that I can custom program, custom make my own, you know, lighting and sound effect boards to go into. You know, I've got a USS Defiant, I've got a Voyager, I've got the NX-01, I've got the Enterprise E, I've got the JJ Price out up on my shelf. There's lots more kits on my shelf here to be built, and so it's given me the greater flexibility now, having all the individual programs to really customize and come up with unique boards to reflect each individual starship. And I was kind of thinking and toying, this is the bit I'm toying with the idea with, I don't know yet, don't quote me on it. I am seriously thinking about developing it as an aftermarket kit to sell to the public. More on that later. I'm still gonna have to think about it on that one. But there we go. Just a thought on that. If I get enough interest from it, I'll seriously consider doing it. Creating this, you know, using what I've done here, the electronic side, and creating an aftermarket kit for people to install into their own builds and do it for a range of them. I know there are people out there that already develop things like this. I know Tenor Controls in the States does it, but here in the UK, I haven't yet come across anybody that does it. And I'm kind of thinking of how to do it in such a way that it keeps it relatively low cost for people as well. But there we go. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up there. This video is going on far too long. Appreciate all the likes and the comments and the subscriptions from everybody, as always. I hope everybody doing absolutely fantastic. Have a great weekend, everyone. I'll be back soon, or as soon as I possibly can, with another update, hopefully with more work now being done to the actual plastic kit itself. You all take care now. Bye bye.